Well, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. It's nice to see you all. Um, got a new mic, so I'm hoping that the audio will be a little bit better than it was yesterday. Sorry, I'm a little behind. It's been a kind of a rough day, but we're going to get right back in the saddle. So, um, thank you for tuning in. I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. Um, and let's take it from there. So, yesterday we were talking about manufactured suffering and what it is. And I was doing a little bit of thinking about this. And to put it in a different perspective, you have to ask a question. Do capitalists limit supply to increase profit? And the answer to that is yes. And when you think about it, the that is in a nutshell manufactured suffering. And we could, if we wanted to, build a bunch of houses, but there'd be no profit in it. There'd be a ton of value, but no profit. Just like food. Food would be much cheaper than it is. There'd be a lot of value in that, but there wouldn't be a whole lot of profit. And the idea is that everything about our society is structured in such a way as to maximize profit, decrease value, and create as much suffering as possible. So, that being said, um, I wrote a new essay today. It's on Substack. It kind of talks about um, who the real enemy is, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. Um, but today, I promised that we were going to talk about what I mean by a Christian American nationalist, and we're just going to jump right into that. So here we go. Um, Underneath me, um, this little piece of art I did, and part of my art is to ask questions and to honestly get at what prejudice is, because that to me is one of the most deceptive things that a human being experiences. And a lot of times we don't even know that we're prejudiced. And that is, that's very dangerous. And you'll see, side by side, there's the Christian American Nationalist logo and Black Lives Matter logo. And when I post this, the question revolves around my supposition is that one of them will trigger you. And sometimes I can imagine both would, but usually if one doesn't, the other one will. And that's my point. And a lot of what people believe about Black Lives Matter is very one sided, and it's filled with prejudice, and it's been fueled a lot by social media, which is, as we talked about yesterday, just a tool used to deceive human beings. And Christian American Nationalists, that has three trigger words in it for a lot of folks. And the sad thing is that since we're going to talk about Christian American nationalism, is let's talk about what it's not. Okay, a Christian American nationalist is not a Christian nationalist, nor is it a white nationalist. And a lot of people will use those terms to mean the same thing. And they're somewhat separate, but the way social media portrays Christian nationalism and white nationalism as exclusionary anti-immigrant, um, pro-capitalist, um, very strong um, dictatorial leaders, um, anti-Muslim, anti-Buddhist, um, and that is not what a Christian American nationalist is. And as many of you have probably already figured out, if you've looked at any of my prior videos, is that I consider myself very progressive. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a neoliberal. I am not a socialist because I believe in private property and currency. So that in itself means I'm not a socialist. Um, being a Christian, I have deep faith in Jesus, and Christianity has been given a bad name by a lot of people, and it's not unfounded. There's a lot of hypocrisy in the Christian church, and I acknowledge that. I, however, am not part of any church. I have a relationship with Jesus, and I believe in his teachings. And my faith is a cornerstone of my worldview. And at its very center is thou shalt love the Lord God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. And that is the cornerstone of my Christian faith. And we talk a lot about in Christianity about, well, who is the neighbor? And the neighbor is anybody. The neighbor is anybody that you come in contact with. And this country, as a lot of people like to point out, and they say kind of tongue in cheek, is that this is a Christian nation. And we are a nation of immigrants. And our country is awesome. I love America. And the the point is that Christianity, the way I believe my faith is that, or believe in my faith, is that, like I said, it is love your neighbor is anybody you come in contact with. And it's your neighboring countries, and it's, in a global community, global world, everybody is our neighbor. Every country is our neighbor. And by loving our neighbor, we love ourselves and we love God. And that is the crucial understanding of what it means to be a Christian, to express your Christianity. There's, of course, a lot more to it. If you're interested, I believe that Jesus was born um, through immaculate conception. I believe he performed miracles. I believe he died on the cross. I believe he was resurrected. I believe that he ushered in a new existence after death. And it's open to all. But for me, being a Christian, it is understanding that Jesus was not necessarily only human. He was born a human, but he was not just human. And I know that there's a lot of people out there who think that that's just, fantasy, and it's if as we get to know each other, a lot of people are going to understand that I use binary logic. I'm a kind of an odd person in that I balance a lot of belief with science, and I've studied a lot on my own, and how I've landed is that there is either a creator or there's not. And I have to hold both true. I choose to believe that there is a creator because I believe I've heard his voice and I've seen too many miraculous things for there for me not to believe that. And coming down on that answer that there is a God and that we are created in his image, it's not that big of a stretch for me to believe that he loves us so much that he wanted to set aside his omnipresence and walk in the shoes of his creation. And a lot of what he saw as a human, as it's portrayed in the Bible and through prophets and through my own visions, is that's why he talked about forgiveness, because when we were booted out of the garden, which is, just innocence, and the serpent took over, he realized that no matter how many commandments he gave us, that we were just incapable of obeying them. And that's how he forgives everybody. And, it's through repentance and asking for forgiveness, in which a lot of that hinges. But that being said, so, understand a little bit about, what it means, what I mean when I say I'm a Christian, and how my faith expresses itself. And so when I say I'm a Christian American nationalist, understand that that first term means that I love my neighbor. And loving your neighbor doesn't mean ignoring them, building a fence, not feeding them, bombing their country, sending special forces in there to destabilize their government so that you can rob their resources. So please understand that it's that that if you find it in your heart to be able to believe the best about Christianity and the best of what a Christian can be, I hope you'll believe that about me. So now we go on to America. So, because it's the acronym is C.A.N, Christian American Nationalist. And so when we get to what it means to be an American, it has to deal with citizenship. And when you deal with nations, there does have to be a little bit of a sorting. Like in the Bible, it says, I'm going to separate the goats from the sheep. And so, because we have a country, I believe that citizens deserve the most protection and the most rights and the most resources. And it doesn't mean that the immigrant, the visitor, gets nothing. That's not what I'm talking about. But I believe that in America, as an American, your citizenship is a very special, unique right. And that's what I mean by American. Okay. And when we deal with American, we're talking about the Constitution. And let's just take a moment and remember what the preamble of a constitution is. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. That to me is what it means to have a framework of what it means to be an American. We, the people, you and I, we are going to establish a union of citizens where justice and tranquility, our common defense, general welfare, and liberty all creates prosperity for us all. And that is what the Constitution, in my opinion, is supposed to achieve, being an American. As an American citizen, you are obligated to be part of this union. And part of the union, again, is justice, tranquility, common defense, welfare, liberty, and prosperity. Now, there's two binary ways of looking at the Constitution. And one way is conservative, and the other is living. And a conservative view of the document is that you keep everything the way it was. You don't want to change anything. And if you want to view the Constitution through the mindset of an 18th century individual, you're right. That's freedom of choice and freedom of expression. But that will mean that you will come in opposition to people that view the document as a living document, where as technology changes, as our society evolves, and as we become educated and explore the frontiers of the universe, we want to ratify the Constitution. We want to put in new barriers and new ideas so that the Constitution remains relevant to the 21st century. And so, again, that's what it means to be an American. It's also based on democracy, where, as my conservative brothers and sisters will tell you, we don't live in a democracy. We live in a republic. Well, that was created as a republic, in my opinion, because of the limitations of technology. A lot of the rights and benefits that we give to members of Congress at the federal level were granted to them because they had to get on a horse and travel a month to get to Washington, and there was no phones, there were no telegraphs at the beginning, and so they had to be given carte blanche rights to do what they thought was best when they got to Congress. And we don't live in that era anymore. And we live in a technologically advanced civilization to where we could, if we wanted to, orange in the candy bar, have direct democracy. There's no reason, at the very least, why we all can't vote on our phones and it be completely convenient. We bank on our phones. We trust the system to guard our money, but yet somehow we don't trust it to guard our votes. And I think that that's an on-purpose propaganda teaching technique, is that unless you go somewhere and put a paper ballot in and allow, people you'll never know to count them, that's somehow more secure than an encrypted double verification system on your phone. So just keep that in mind. Orange in the candy bar, as we talked about yesterday. And so democracy, a rule book that we all play by, the Constitution, and freedom. That's to me what it means to be an American. Now, as we move to the nationalist part, this is probably the sticking point for a lot of people. Is just that when they think of nationalists, they think of exclusionary, no immigrants, um, borders, strong leader. Everybody's got to have the same culture, and that can be kind of bad if it's taken too far. However, being an American nationalist means that you support and express and promote American ideals on a national level. And so it's important to hold all of these things simultaneously and to understand that they all work together. So the nationalism of C.A.N, Christian American Nationalists, emphasizes a commitment to diversity, equality, and the foundational principles enshrined in the Constitution. This form of nationalism is inclusive and welcomes people from all ethnic and cultural backgrounds. It stands as a testament to the American commitment to equal rights and civil liberties for all citizens. Instead of advocating for a homogenous state, American nationalism celebrates the multicultural tapestry of the United States. It's probably a lot different than you thought it was going to be. So that being said, if you look down below, that part of my art is to challenge you because, art reveals as much about the participant, the viewer, the onlooker, as it does about the artist. And so if I say Christian American Nationalist and you knee-jerk get triggered by that, my only response to you as an artist is to ask questions. You should always be asking questions. Anytime there's an ism and it triggers you, you should stop, take a breath, and ask a question. And especially if there's a dialogue involved, because many times people aren't willing to do that. They want to double down on their prejudice, and because it creates a little bit of comfort for them. So when I say I'm a Christian American nationalist, I hope you'll grant me the benefit of the doubt that I am a city on a hill, and that my belief in all three aspects of that, Christian, American, and nationalist, is perhaps a little bit different than you're used to hearing. And I want to defend Christianity. I want to defend America. And being an American nationalist, I think, is pretty good. Because if it's about diversity, if it's about freedom, if it's about democracy, equal rights, I think that that's a good thing. Now, that being said, I hope that's all this is all over the place. You can find the written text for this on the community page on my website. You can on Substack and YouTube. It's all there, and it's all free of charge. There's no hidden paywall. You can find it on my LinkedIn page. It's all there. So I hope that you have took some pleasure out of that exercise down below about, does one trigger you over the other? I bet if you're not triggered by Black Lives Matter, that the Christian American Nationalist is probably like, "Oh, that's a hot thing for you," and vice versa. But maybe not. Maybe neither one of them bothers you, or maybe both of them do. But the idea is that it might not be what you think it is, and I hope that is. I hope this is a little illuminating for you, and maybe challenge you a little bit to question um, established norms, because we we're all in the same boat, right? And I think we could spend a little more time getting to know one another, and instead of believing the worst about one another. And that's what social media does. Excuse me, one second. And so anyway, I hope that was kind of cool and interesting for you. So I will proudly always say I'm a Christian American nationalist, and I will always be able to be willing to talk to anybody about what that actually means, because it is a challenging label to give oneself in the climate that we live in. And I also want to just finish this part about what a Christian American nationalist is to say that Christian, right, can be in brackets, and the American nationalist is the main objective. And the idea is there's people of faith that can be an American nationalist. So let's say you're Jewish, so you could be a Jew. Evidence is not evidence of absence. So, oh, we got bumped there a little bit. So just to make sure that I made my point clear, is that you can be a Jewish American nationalist, you can be a Muslim American nationalist, you can be an atheist American nationalist. It's a person of faith being an American nationalist. And that's kind of I don't want to say movement, but that's the revival I would like to have as a citizen of America, is that people of faith, people of science or logic, we can all be an American nationalist, because an American nationalist, once again, promotes the protection of individual freedoms and equal rights. And that is really, really important. And so that's, I haven't got any. Let's see if we got a little. I got a chat here. That's my brother Daniel. He's chatting with me. Hey, Daniel, I saw your chat. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Um, so yeah, I tried to make this kind of big, but just remember that all of this is on my Substack. It's in the description of the video. It's all over the place. So this is kind of just really honestly up there for me, just so that I can. But I don't want anybody to think that I'm just pulling all this off top of my head, because clearly there's not a lot up there. But appreciate the feedback, Daniel. Thank you very much for watching. But again, like this, which is on the screen, is on the description down below, and it's on my Substack page, and it's on the community tab for my website, or for the YouTube page. So I hope this is this has been a little challenging for you. And that being said, I Let me just switch this back here real quick. There we go. Is just that, as 365 revolutions. This is day number 2, and we, a lot more to talk about, a lot more to go. Tomorrow we're gonna, or maybe even later today, the next, anyway, the next live stream will be about healthcare. And don't forget the manufacturer suffering essays on my Substack page. The links are all over the place. I hope you check it out. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. And the concept of manufactured suffering is, I think, the key to bringing about a transformative movement for the 22nd century. And that being said, um, one of the things that is important is that just keep in mind that everything that when you wake up in the morning and you flush the toilet and you eat your food and you go to work and you do your thing and you come home, everything that you encounter in that 24-hour revolution is brought to you on purpose by somebody. And everything you do is going to make profit for somebody and very little value for yourself. And one of the things, since we were talking about Christianity today, and I wrote an essay this morning, and it is about who the real enemy is. And I kind of touched on this a little bit yesterday. And before we go on, I just want to reiterate that I honestly believe that the enemy is not the 1% or the politicians in Washington. All of those people are mid-level managers, and they're working for somebody else. Now, who this force may be, you can label it in many different ways. So some people call it mammon, some people call it the devil. It could even be aliens. And I know that this is kind of like a crazy like thesis. But when you look out into the universe and you see all of that magnificent creation, you have to ask yourself, do you really believe that human consciousness is it? That there's nothing else out there that is either more powerful or more advanced than we are? And, you know, this is I don't know if you've ever read the book Contact. And spoiler alert, if you haven't and you want to, mute this, turn it off, whatever. But at the end of the book, one of the things that they talk about is that there's this galactic civilization, and the currency, or one of the things that is it's a commodity, are the dreams of individuals. Mm-hmm. And the quality of your dreams really shows the nature of the species. And if you were to take that supposition that something that human beings feel or do or experience is of value, perhaps it's a fuel for some kind of technology we don't know about, or perhaps it's just entertainment. If that's the case, and the entertainment aspect is, that's like, you can go back 2,000 years and find a slew of different religions that all talk about how humans are just the entertainment of gods. And, there's always a little bit of truth in mythology. And, or it could just be that human beings are just a bastard species, and we're just, we're just really mean, and it's every dog for himself. But if the 1% and the politicians are the mid-level manager, you have to really you have to then understand that they are not the enemy, because they will just be replaced. And they have been replaced since humans have been crawling out of the cave, since we've been kicked out of the garden. There has always been some bastard at the top that gets it all, while the rest of us are eating turnip greens and, out of the ground, or tulip bulbs. And, so you have to really think outside the box. And if that is true, if manufactured suffering is created by something other than humans, if it's created by some kind of force outside of us, then what I'm proposing over the next year is to discuss systems and policies that will defeat the manufactured suffering. And that is where it all is going to hinge. And I hope that you will join me in this discussion and you'll take the time to read the essay and really think about what it is you want. And I've talked to my brother Daniel about this a lot, and we have what we call the 3x5 card philosophy. And if I were to give you a 3x5 index card and ask you to describe front and back what your perfect day would be from the time you woke up to the time you went to bed, where do you live? What are you going to eat? Who are you with? How are you spending your time? If you were to really get down to the nuts and bolts about what your perfect revolution is and would be, I bet you we could create a society where we could all put those 3x5 cards in a big bucket, stir it around, and pull one out at random, and you'd be happy with what you got. And by that I mean that we could make all our dreams a reality. We could make the system work for us and us not work for the system. And so that being said, the next live stream we are going to talk about, and it'll be lengthy. It'll be these first two have just kind of been me getting all the volume sets and just talking about like some esoteric things, so me introducing myself to you so that you may um, get to know me. So that being said, I've created what I call the American Wellness System. It's all on my Substack page, and I'm going to show you a system that a libertarian, a progressive, a neoliberal, a communist, everybody can get behind. It is. It will. I believe it will revolutionize the healthcare delivery system in America. And we're going to start by calling it the American Wellness System. And it is fantastic. And it is probably the crowning jewel right next to my education system that I believe will fundamentally transform not only America, but the world, because it's pretty fantastic. So that being said, if you want to get a head start, jump on my Substack page, give it a read. There's algorithms. I've spent 10 years working on this, and I hope you will enjoy it. And I can't wait to introduce it to you and to walk you through it and to answer any questions you might have, because that's what this is supposed to be, is a dialogue between you and me. And so that being said, I'm going to close up this live stream for today. I just want to remind everybody that I love you very much, and God loves you, and you have somebody out there rooting for you. And if you ever need me to pray for you, send me an email, hop on the chat. I'll be happy to stop what I'm doing and pray for you. Um, just know that no matter what, I'm going to go down swinging for you, for us, for our country, because I think we're pretty awesome. And the idea is that, just as a reminder, the elite neoliberal boomer class is on the way out. We're exiting stage left. And what have they left us? A $20 trillion debt and systems that are going to collapse after they're gone. So the new generations that are here in this country right now on this planet, we need to come together and agree on a plan and work towards a wonderful future for the 22nd century because, brother and sister, this ain't it. And we're about to get screwed royally. And unless we're willing to make some drastic changes and come together, it's going to end up badly for everybody except a very few. And so just know I love you. Know God loves you. We're both rooting for you. And I hope you take care. Please tune in, like, and subscribe if you haven't. Send me an email if you'd like for me to discuss something in particular. And I wish you and yours the very, very best. I love the Lord. I love the Lord. He's my friend beyond the end. I love the Lord. He's my friend.